What the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, intends to do with the gender sector is to ensure that there's equity. And thankfully, with the passage of the Affirmative Action Bill, now an act, we'll be able to achieve most of the things he wants to do. So for me, with the passage of the act, what I need to do in summation to ensure that this vision comes to pass is to ensure that there's a committee, the Gender Equity Committee in place, and for the subcommittees to also be set up to implement the President's vision. I'm going to be a key or an instrumental person in the realization of the vision. One of the things is to ensure that there's enough social protection for the vulnerable. And so with the vision of expanding and ensuring that children, persons with disability, and other vulnerable groups within the society are protected. And so making resources available, ensuring that there's advocacy, there's enough sensitization on the Affirmative Action Act, and then also allocating resources to ensure implementation. Basically, this is what the vision of the President is.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
So you want to tell the committee that the vision of the President is embedded in the Affirmative Action Act, which was passed under President Akufo-Addo last year. I want to be sure.
No, Honorable
Chairman.
Honorable
Chairman.
Honorable.
The nominee is very knowledgeable and capable of answering the question.
But Honorable, we need to be fair. Fair in the sense that that wasn't what the committee said. The nominee said. The nominee said, thankfully, the law on affirmative action has been passed. So that doesn't mean. So you may go ahead and rephrase your question.
Chairman, you are trying to babysit the very intelligent Naa Momo, and I don't think it's a fair intervention. Agnes Naa Momo is very intelligent. We all know her. She spoke about the Affirmative Action Bill, Act. And I asked her to sum up the President's vision, and she brought that in as an act that was passed by the Akufo-Addo administration. It's a fact. It's on record. It's a fact. And
Honorable nominee, please answer the question.
Yes. She can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm talking about the Affirmative Action Act passed by the 8th Parliament, spearheaded also by the Speaker of Parliament under the Akufo-Addo regime.
You see, I know the qualities of the nominee. So, Chairman, don't babysit her. Now, you'll be facing the caterers and service providers at your ministry. I mean the school feeding caterers. I know it was a policy that was introduced under President Kufuor. It was carried through by President Mills, President Mahama, President Akufo-Addo. Talk about the capitation grant and what have you. I know it's not enough, and there's always been agitations, fighting here, releases, late releases for the caterers and what have you. What are some of the strategies that you intend putting in place to ensure that our caterers don't go on strike, they keep to their work and take good care of the kids in school to enhance enrollment and also to assist the President in his gender parity or equality vision that you just spoke about? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clearly from the manifesto, you realize that the intention is to address the current bottlenecks that we have around school feeding and the capitation grant. In our manifesto, we want to extend to even the private schools. From my checks from the ministry, there's an indication that about 40 days have been paid, 31 days in arrears in terms of what is owed the caterers. I think with me, one of the things I know is my strength is judge or dialogue with whoever and whoever is involved for us to find lasting solution. But once there's been some payments made, I believe that His Excellency has committed to ensuring that not only the implementation of the school feeding goes on smoothly, but also the quality is assured. And so I will work within that framework to ensure that the rest of the payment is done with the Finance Ministry and then also Education. Thank you.
Thank you. As a proud native of Nungwa, a very, very important fishing community, deep in custom and tradition, what are you going to do to assist the people of Nungwa in your new ministry? And I wish you the very best. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Clearly, most of the coastal communities are quite deprived or have a lot of the population falling within the deprived community. Is in focus this morning. The Women's Development Bank is a banking program that is supposed to actually support women in business. Unlike the traditional banking system, it is supposed to be quite flexible for women to access loans. One of the challenges that we have when it comes to women in business is accessibility to loans and other logistics that support our businesses. Where you have to bring collateral, it's a difficult thing. So this is women focused with, like I said, flexible terms and also low interest rate. And from what His Excellency said, the President said, it's going to be from GOG. So like many other programs and activities of the ministry, is going to be intersectorial, like leaning on the Ministry of Finance to provide the GOG portion. And I'm expecting that, God willing, when the Finance Minister presents the budget, this will be adequately captured in the budget. And then also, there are other stakeholders, that donor partners and private sector who are expected to come on board to ensure that this is adequately catered for. And so we look forward, the women of Ghana are grateful, and we look forward to having the bank established so that we can grow our businesses, as most women are in the informal sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Yes. Thank you for the elucidation, and I believe the people of Zabzugu, particularly the women, will also benefit. Thank you.
Sure.
My second question is about a program that was started in 2008. I believe it is for most of us, the MPs for rural communities and rural areas. The livelihood empowerment against poverty program called LEAP. During my campaign and visit to the communities, a lot of the women, particularly poor communities, and widows, kept asking me and asking why are they not benefiting from that program. in most communities in Zabsugu.
Honorable Alaji Uma, your question, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Needed to just give the background. Can we, do you have an expansion program, or will you review it so that communities such as those in Zabsugu will be captured? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The intention is to go into the ministry, have a look at what is going on, what the gaps are, have a stakeholders meeting, and move it from there. But the plan of the president in the manifesto is to ensure that it is expanded, and then also beneficiaries who can be graduated and ensure that their economic situation is better than it is now will be graduated, so that we can expand it and more people can benefit from it. So yes, your people will definitely be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I need to. Okay. Thank you so much, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will now give the floor to Deputy Minority Whip, Honorable Shaibu, if you have a question.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Honorable Naa Momo, Anyaku.
Yay.
Kebuchuno. Just a few questions. So I saw President Trump in his inauguration address, and he made some specific statements with reference to gender, and that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. I just want to find out from you, as Minister of Gender, what is your general view? And how do you view the current legal and societal stance on the LGBTQ rights in Ghana? And what is your position as Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection on the promotion of the proper human rights, proper human sexual right and and the Ghanaian Family Values Bill?
That is 3 questions, but I will allow the nominee to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect to what the President Donald Trump has stated, I believe that I go by what the Constitution of Ghana says. A man is a man under our Constitution, so I stick to that. And a woman is a woman, yes, if you want it to be complete. And with LGBTQ, I think that as the Constitution stands, and as the voices of the people of Ghana has loudly declared, there's no way I can go contrary to that. I am a representative of them. And I think the President has also clearly stated his stand. And one of the things, beyond even the inaction of the law, one of the things is to also ensure that we imbibe it into our curriculum so that the children will know some of these family values right from the beginning. I think it is more sustainable, and it also adds on when there is the law working. Thank you.
Any further question?
Yes, follow-up question. So, in your view, as the bill expired, the bill on family values,
Thank you very much. I think I will leave that debate for the legal brains, and then what they guide, I will take it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the 2024 NDC manifesto suggests reviewing the Labour Act to mandate. Yes, we are. We are in love with the manifesto. We just want to ensure everything is well sorted out. to mandate 4 months of paid maternity leave. How will you advocate for the extension of maternity leave from the current 3 months? Because we are all aware it's 3 months now. How do you intend to, and how do you plan to address the concerns from employers who may resist? Because I have a company, I don't intend to get women to go on 4 months, but that is in your manifesto. How do you intend to address that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think men were or are still advocating for paternal leave. And if it is important for them to take a break to support the family, then it is more important for women to have a prolonged period, not only to take care of the children, but to also properly heal. And so as an employer, I will encourage you that if you even have the opportunity to take care of 6 months, please do that. But there are other ways on a more serious note to do that. You know, creating daycare in the company that makes it child-friendly for the women to bring their kids there with a little support from the company or the organization so that they don't have to be worried. You know, psychologically, the woman can be present or physically present in the company, and yet the mind is at home. And so you can have her being there working for you, but to have the utmost output, it is better we make sure that there's holistic care. And so I will sit with all stakeholders. There are CSOs who are deep into it. There are lots of advocates. I will join them to look at what is best, ensure that we push it. And if Ghana and if the people of Ghana agrees to it, surely I will be the #1 champion.
Thank you very much.
A follow-up.
Very well.
So are you intending to advocate for paternity leave?
I would love to advocate for that, but I also love beyond that to ensure that there are some measures to ensure that when the men take the paternity leave, they actually spend it with the family.
It is now the turn of Honorable Mahama Shaibu. No, you've exhausted your questions. Please, Mahama Shaibu.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, good morning.
Good morning.
Just 2 questions for you. I note that you have touched on Affirmative Action Act. Have you had a look at the bill or the act? I know the bill you would have participated in the 8th Parliament. Have you looked at it again when it was passed into law?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I have. Actually, I was a member of the Gender Committee, and we worked on the bill together. Thank you.
What in the bill would you say excites you as far as your ministry is concerned?
I think the most critical thing about the bill is that it's going to engender discussions and policies in ensuring that governance and leadership and policies are, in fact, practice are gender friendly. So mainstreaming gender into or affirmative action into our laws and policies in the workplace and also our practice.
A further question?
Thank you. Madam Nominee, I note that you are a member of the Women in Law and Development in Africa, Women's Law and Human Rights Institute, National Coalition on Domestic Violence, and also a partner at Abantum for Development. Tell us how your association with these institutions will impact on gender, children, and social protection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Indeed, let me also say that I thank all the institutions and organizations that you have mentioned, and they've been generous. It looks like in my past life now, but anytime they have programs and activities, they remember me, even if I'm not able to go there. I want to state that coming into this position, the world of gender activism, this is my support base. These are the people, the organizations, the institutions that have given me some leverage or some experience to be able to deliver on my mandate. And I think that I owe a debt of gratitude to them at every point and every level in my practice as a development practitioner. They've been there, and I have learned a lot, and I'm counting on them. And since my nomination, they've extended their congratulations to me, and I know they are there to support me. Thank you very much.
I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll proceed to give the floor to the Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Anodombre. Honorable, you intend to ask a question? Okay, I'll give the floor to Honorable Roxanne Nelson Dapamoko.
Chairman, thank you very much. Now?
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Let me seize the opportunity to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Ever since you came to this house 4 years ago, you've acquitted yourself very well, and you work hard. You actually became one of the faces of our female bloc, and we've done a lot other parliamentary work, not related to our core activities as in legislation, but other programs connected to Parliament. So I know the quality that you bring to bear on your work. Now, general feeling amongst us men, the biologically males, is that your ministry tend to focus on the biologically female issues to our neglect. Would you consider a policy change that your programs from the gender ministry will also take into consideration issues concerning us? Yeah, especially us. Thank you. Especially those of us who are beaten at home.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I can sum up the Affirmative Action Act as a corrective measure. And so where there's an imbalance, whether it is skewed towards men or skewed towards women, whoever is disadvantaged, I believe that the Act is going to support with proper implementation to correct it. So you have no fears at all. Thank you.
It's refreshing to hear that. Now, let me move to the specifics. Sanitary pad distributions among our school children, adolescents, was such a key policy, and during GM1, and it was truncated, but it features in our manifesto again. Statistics point to the fact that a lot of adolescent school-going girls refuse to go to school when they are in that critical time of the month, and it affects their studies and output in school. will you consider rolling this out vigorously, especially in the rural areas like my constituency in South Dine? As an MP, I spend a lot in procuring this to give to our girls, and periodically. It's become so costly. The parts are so costly. What will your ministry do in this regard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a conversation we have to be having until we get a law to waive off some of the taxes and then ensure that we also plan and budget for it for women and girls to have adequate protection, because the lack of funding or support to procure sanitary pads has further made girls more vulnerable in society, in the sense that UNFPA can tell you that they have data that shows that there's most girls fall prey to men who can provide sanitary pads for them. And it is also because of the poverty situations some or most people find themselves. If you have to choose between feeding the family or placing a meal on the table for the family and then providing sanitary pad for a girl, I think most family will go for the meal because that is survival for them. Since it is a biological issue, whether you are male or female, you are affected one way or the other. I think we need to have this discussion very passionately and then find a way out. But in the meantime, whilst we haven't waived off the taxes to ensure that it is affordable to all, we have to find a way of making sure that we can supply to especially the underprivileged, like your constituents, like my constituents and all others. And then they will also have some leverage so that that support can go a long way to minimize their vulnerability in such times. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, finally, yes. Let me dovetail this to your recent answer. Will you consider liaising with the minister responsible for finance in getting a bill, as it were, to actually deal with the tax waiver issues that you speak, especially for companies that are set up locally and are into the manufacture and production of these parts for our girls? Not only tax waivers for, but specifically to encourage companies who are locally established to produce these on massive scale to support our girls.
I will surely do that. There's an ongoing conversation, so I will build on that. Thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. I will now give the floor to Honorable Rickett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And the nominee, Honorable Agnes Naa Momo Lartey. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Perusing through your CV, your background and experience suggests to me that you're actually a good fit for the ministry that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has posted you to. And I have no doubt in my mind that you will succeed at that ministry. I'm not going to ask you a question, but a word of advice. Having had the opportunity for the last 8 years or 12 years to serve on that committee, gender committee, and at some stage with yourself, there had been challenges, particularly in the last 8 years, to do with relationships between ministers, suppliers, ministers, deputy ministers, and all that. And that has created a lot of problems in terms of moving that ministry forward. I'm not going to ask you the strategies you will adopt, because the problems could be many and will require some more multifaceted approach. But just to caution you that you've got to do everything possible to make sure that you keep a good relationship with your subordinates, your suppliers, and whoever is helping you to build that ministry. But I wish you well, and I know you will be successful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to the ranking member in minority leader.
Chairman, thank you. Honorable nominee, let me commend you for your nomination.
Thank you.
If you have your CV by you, I'm sure you are very familiar with it. So going to page 2 of your CV, consultant, ECOWAS in-country experts, Children and Street Project, November 20th to December 1st, 2017. I find the description of your job title quite interesting. And I wish to know from you, for the period of work you have done, are there any lessons Children on the Street Project, are there any lesson you find relevant that you can imbibe that will be contextualized into your ministry if we grant you passage? Any key lessons?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think one of the, anyway, in the first place, that was the title, the technical title of the position or the job. One of the key things and key lessons, if I have to sum it up, is the fact that there's a thin line between being okay and then being vulnerable. And one of the things that we overlook is that vulnerability can come from separation or divorce, and also non-maintenance, that is lack of child maintenance. And so most of the children on the street are from broken homes, and some of them are there with single parents. And so the issue of supporting families to survive, have proper income earning activities to relieve them of their vulnerability is very important. And then day after day, we need to also ensure that what we know as Africans, the larger family system, we continue to practice it because it helps. Where you hold each other's hands when you are growing up, you know that your auntie is still your mom and your uncle is your dad, so that in terms of issues of separation, you'll be able to count on somebody to stay off the street.
Mr. Chair, will the nominee be gracious enough to tell me or to tell Ghanaians what your manifesto hopes to achieve in this context?
Thank you very much. I think one of the key things that the manifesto proposes is to have the orphan and vulnerable child support scheme. And one of the, it's one of the protective means for children and orphans. And so with this scheme, there will be a special purpose vehicle that will support children in ensuring that they are safe. Not just orphans, but also children who fall prey to child trafficking. And so in the manifesto, you realize that we are going to work to develop a framework to ensure the safety of the vulnerable and also provide support for reintegration and all that. And so that is, in summation, what the manifesto talks about.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. It's good you spoke to the summary of it, but I want you to flesh it up. The support for the vulnerable child, how, in terms of its implementation, how are you going to ensure its implementation devoid of partisanship? You are going to be there, your party people are going to come with all manner of applications. How are you going to do it to ultimately achieve an approach which will not be partisan or tainted with partisan coloration?
So, Honourable Member, let's get the question clear. Is it Ghanaians who are going to go there with application or her party people?
Chairman, I'm sure you listen to me. What I meant to convey to the nominee is, I'm being very practical. She's coming on a ticket of a political party. And she has already admitted that it's one of the policy directives in the manifesto that vulnerable children will be supported. Honorable nominee, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes. So my question is, how practical could you or will you be able to ensure this is done, devoid of partisanship? That's what I said.
Yes. I now you can go ahead and answer the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think for me, everybody who knows me will tell you that I first of all see a person as a person devoid of partisan coloration. So if I'm supposed to serve a particular group of people, yes, Mr. Chairman, for this, you realize that it will be based on need assessment. So if I have people who plainly everybody knows that are from my party who don't need support, I would not necessarily have to give them support. But everybody who needs support and falls within the need bracket will be supported. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Well, I have a number of questions. The nominee is, as the Honorable Patrick Boama earlier observed, the nominee is, she promises to be very competent. And Speaker, allow us to bring the best out of her. Please. Yes. She promises to be... that one was not under oath. So, I want you, my good friend, let me test your understanding. Don't worry, I'll be brief. Just be relaxed, you'll be fine. Your understanding on the school feeding project. You know, its antecedents and the tortoise path we've traveled to where we are now. What is your appreciation of the high points and low points of the school feeding project?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think the school feeding program is something that all of us appreciate, because if a child is not properly fed, it affects the concentration in class. And so for the highs, I would say it's a good project that we intend to improve on. The other side of it is the processes leading to the feeding, ensuring that there's quality and also accessibility and timeliness in terms of the supply is also very important. And so these are areas that I will look at improving and then adding on. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, you have touched on the quality and also timely delivery. I couldn't agree more with you. What is your assessment of the current situation?
Part of my life is also in local governance, and so it comes with decentralization. And I believe that if we are able to effectively decentralize the feeding program, as we are also looking at, it will help us to ensure that it is supplied on time, the food items are supplied on time, and then also we can keep an eye on the quality from the district level. And so I'll be glad to sit with all stakeholders involved to look at how this implementation will work out so that the beneficiaries have the best of it. And then also support those who are the service providers to do what is right. Thank you.
I am aware the...
Honorable Chupi, that should be the last question. Thank you.
You don't want me to bring the best out of the nominee. You have already told me that I have 6 questions, and for each of the 6 questions, I have potential follow-ups. No. Oh, Chairman, don't do that.
That is not the case.
Okay,
Honorable member, when we agreed on something, let's go by what we have agreed upon. So you have one more question to ask. Yes, yes.
I have one more and potential follow-up.
Yes.
Oh. Honorable nominee, your party's manifesto eloquently speaks to Women's Development Bank. I'm curious about that. What is it modeled on? Is it just an idea you thought you can implement, or there are models across the world that we can all buy into and say that these are practical examples that we can appropriate into our situation? Women's Development Bank. And don't you consider it, with respect to our women here, don't you consider it a discriminatory, where you don't have a counterpart, Men's Development Bank, but rather Women's Development Bank? And you are supposed to, your ministry is supposed to look at both sex.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think, like I stated earlier, when you look at it critically, the traditional banks or banking system serves men the best. So there's an already existing financial support base that serves the interest of men more than women. I also stated that most of the women are in the informal sector, where we don't have the collateral, where we cannot afford the high interest rates that are being charged in the traditional banking system. And so this is something that will go a long way to help. And I'm glad, and I know the people of Ghana are also glad. And when they see it, will also be glad to see it implemented. I said earlier that my ministry the ministry is one of those that are actually intersectorial. So we depend on other ministries when it comes to things like this. And so the finance ministry is heavy on this, and I'm sure that the needed guidance will be given by the finance ministry, and then we will be the end beneficiaries of it. Thank you.
I would have wished to ask you a follow-up, which I know will bring the best out of you. Unfortunately, the chairman says no, so I will respect the directive of the chairman.
Thank you very much. I will proceed to take a question from Dr. Grace Ayen Sudankwa.
Thank you very much. Honorable Agnes Naa Momo, I'm so happy to see you here today.
Thank you.
I think you're one of the nominees that when I heard it, I was so excited. So thank you for being here. And also I'd like to commend you for your answers, your depth of knowledge of your sector, And some of the answers you've given here is exactly what we want to hear. As a gender advocate myself, I'm so proud to see you here. My question goes to the school feeding again. The people of Iskado-Ketana just came back yesterday, and they are asking, when will the school feeding start? Number two, the more important question is, I want to go back to the quality of the food. You know, the school-aged children are the most vulnerable because they are growing. Their bodies are still growing, and specifically their brains are still growing. So it's very important, as a surgeon specialist myself, that we give them a nutritious and a balanced diet.
Doc, your question, please.
Yes, I'm asking it. As we have seen, the food is not very nutritious. So what will you do to ensure that the food is balanced and nutritious? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can appreciate where your question is coming from, given your background. I think that is a major concern for all of us, and we're going to work towards that, especially if everybody will be truthful and transparent and accountable. I'm sure that there will be less bottlenecks to tackle in terms of quality of food that we give to the children. And so we will work together towards that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to the ranking member and minority leader.
My respected colleague, good morning to you.
Good morning, leader.
With the leave of the chair, I shall proceed with some questions. Let us first deal with your CV. And if you be pleased, I shall take you to page 1 of your CV. On your profile, you have indicated that you've been involved in children's rights, education, and health issues. Can you elaborate on this for me, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've had the privilege of volunteering and also working for various non-governmental organizations. I can mention Abantu for development. I can mention Global Initiative on Rights and Development. I can also mention the ACT Foundation and a couple of others, including international organizations like Conseil Universal. In fact, I've also had the privilege of consulting along the line for ActionAid Ghana. And so a couple of the organizations, I've worked on DFID projects and so on and so forth. So at every given time, I've had opportunity to support one advocacy issue or the other, whether locally or internationally. And so that has built my experience in child rights advocacy. And I'm not a legal person, I'm sure you know, but it's giving me an opening into what to expect or what to do under every given situation. Thank you.
You've stated your name in full as Agnes Naa Momo Lartey.
Yes, sir.
You've also stated your date of birth to be 16th of April 1976.
Yes, sir.
Place of birth, Nungwa, Accra.
Yes, sir.
Hometown, Nungwa, Accra.
Yes, sir.
How did you derive this hometown, Nungwa, Accra?
Mr. Chair, per my basic knowledge, my hometown is where I believe I come from, was born. And so I'm an indigene. My parents are both from Nungwa, and I'm a Ga. And so that is why I stated it there.
So just for the avoidance of doubt, mommy is from Nungwa.
Yes, sir.
Daddy is from Nungwa.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm a bit curious. My respected colleague, Roxanne Echede-Fiamepo, greeted you in a language. I'm quite familiar with the Ga language. I didn't think that was a Ga language. Ga. What language was that, please?
That was Dangbe.
Are you a Dangbe?
No, sir, but I'm in a close relation to Dangbe, so I'm not a Dangbe. I'm a Ga, but it's a close language.
I just want to have clarity. Are you able to speak the Dangbe language, or you are partly from the Dangbe area?
Mr. Chairman, if you look at the languages spoken, that is not there. I have just the basic knowledge to, let me say, understand it, small. And then when you ask me things like what the honorable member asked, I can respond. So that is just my understanding of it. Thank you.
Fair enough. So you don't speak Dangbe?
No, I don't.
Very well. Still on page 1 of your CV. Let's first deal with your MPhil in leadership. I read, MPhil leadership, University of Professional Studies, Accra, September 2014 to March 2017. Full stop. Next line. Research. Column. Women's participation in leadership. Column. Challenges and prospects to the development of Lejokuku Krowo Municipal Assembly. Dash June 2017. I have 2 questions for you there. 1, how was this MPhil program structured? And I'll give you a guide to assist you in the answer that you're going to give. Was this course structured in a thought in part and research in part, or it was a full research without a thought aspect?
There's a thought aspect, and then it also flows into the research aspect.
Was it a full-time MPhil program?
A full-time, but in the evenings.
Now, the thought part of the program, was it for the first year?
Yes, sir.
Right. Within this period that you were going through this thoughts program, the 1 year, you were also working?
Yes, I was.
Full time?
Yes.
Where?
I think around that time, I was working with NALAG.
Respectfully, as what?
As the General Secretary.
So the NALAG work was not just leadership, but the full-time work?
Yes.
So when you say full-time work, are you referring to 8 to 5 p.m.?
Yes, sir. Or sometimes I start at 6.
6 a.m.
Yes, sir.
So we should assume that you closed from work and attended your evening full-time program.
Yes, sir.
Very well. Now, the year 2 was for your research.
Yes, sir.
Respectfully, honorable colleague, how did you embark on your research?
Thank you very much. I think you submit the research topic for assessment. Once it is approved, you design your questionnaires and then you submit to your supervisor. They go through it and then you go ahead to the field to administer. And then once you've gone through everything, the methodology, everything, you are granted the opportunity to defend. And then once defended, you graduate.
So you've indicated that you ended the program March 2017.
Yes,
Then
sir.
you have also indicated that your research work you submitted June 2017. Please, can you clarify?
There was a bit of a delay. When I was doing the MPhil, I had then applied to Legon, University of Ghana. In fact, it was one of the reasons why I went in for the MPhil, so that it's close to the University of Ghana. Within the period, the PhD program got structured from a 3-year course to a 4-year course. So the waiting period was when I decided to undertake this course. So if you look at it critically, you realize that my final year, that was in 2014, I had to juggle between going for the PhD class and then also doing finishing up my research work.
Honorable colleagues, respectfully, it couldn't have been that your final year. It couldn't have been because if you look at the same CV, the PhD, you've written PhD, Institute of African Studies. And by the way, before I proceed, bear with me. You know, the enterprise we undertake here is a perception-driven enterprise. When you go all calmly, the perception is that we are treating you with kid gloves. If we ask you very strong questions, it is also seen as we being too hard. But I would manage myself, and I don't intend to be very personal, okay? Just understand me, that
Yes, sir.
you are a witness in the box who must answer necessary questions. We are politicians, and we have the public that wants to understand certain perspectives. So I'm limiting myself to the policy issues and then deal with your profile that is getting you into governance. Is that okay?
That's fine,
So
sir.
I mean no ill will. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Very well. So that assured, look at your CV again. PhD, Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana, Legon, September 2014 to December 2020. So if you say that in your final year you had issues, it couldn't have been because, you see, you started MPhil and PhD at the same time. I find that very curious. So it wasn't the case that there was, when you were about finishing one, you started the other. And that is why you had some delay. I want you to have an opportunity to clarify.
Thank you. With the MPhil, I actually started the MPhil somewhere 2013, and the PhD was in 2014. The MPhil coursework was supposed to be...
Honorable Member, would you...
Please, Honorable Leader, let's take the answer, then you can do a follow-up. Thank you very much.
Chairman, with respect, as much as possible, I don't want to get into the ocean. I want to guide her. I'll give the same protection that you give her. So please, when I want to help her, allow that. But if you want to open it up, I don't mind. Honorable Member, would you want to amend your CV on that aspect, just for the record, so that we don't go deep, 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 and deep again? Page 1, on the start date, would you want to amend your CV?
Yes, sir.
Very well. I yield to Chairman for you to apply for his leave to amend, then I can proceed. Thank you.
Please go ahead and do the amendment.
The MPhil program was somewhere 2013. I was trying to be specific, but the MPhil program is somewhere 2013.
When in 2013, because it's an academic year, it starts from a point. When in 2013, respectfully?
I have September on record, and so
we maintain
I want
the
to...
September.
Yes, I want to...
And then just amend the year.
Yes, please.
Very well. Any further amendment, please? No, we are staying there for a moment.
Okay.
So I just want you to have the opportunity. Apart from the year, the 2013, we are now maintaining the September. So the start date.
The completion date is not in doubt.
Okay, so you are not changing the completion date?
No, the completion date is not in doubt.
Very well. So let's go to the PhD. Are you maintaining the start date for the PhD as well, and the completion date for the PhD as well?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Now, honorable colleague, do you have your certificate for the MPhil, please?
Yes, please.
What is the date on it for the graduation? The date of the certificate?
20th June 2017.
Now, when you submit your thesis, it has to be assessed. You need some period to defend it.
Yeah.
And when you submitted your thesis for the MPhil, how long did it take you to defend it? The supervisors, how long did it take them to get back to you that they have marked your thesis and everything was okay? Was it a month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 week, 3 days, 1 day?
For the MPhil, I will not have a clear period, but I know that it was between 2 months or 3 months. I can't recollect.
So let's take the minimum of 2 months, the one you recollect. Now, having told this committee that upon submission, it took 2 months for your assessors to get back to you. At least we use the 2 months. Check again on your CV and the certificate you have. Would you want to take chairman's leave to amend your records again? Thank you.
I'm going by what is on the certificate, that 20th June 2017. That is what I have here.
My respected colleague, you had in an earlier answer submitted for records that you were done with your program in March 2017, but your thesis delayed. So you submitted your thesis in June of 2017. In fact, that is what you stated here, that your project work research you submitted June 2017. You have a moment ago also indicated that when you submit your project work, your thesis, it takes about 2 to 3 months. Now here is...
Or more.
Or more, very well, that's okay. I just wanted to use the minimum where you remember. Now, if you submit your thesis in June, and the assessor is going to take 2 months minimum to look at it, mark, get an external assessor to also look at it, which means that in June when you submit it, you would have July and you would have August, okay? Minimum. You cannot graduate in June 2017 and have a certificate which says you have MPhil, you've earned an MPhil in June 2017. It's the reason why I ask you again. Sometimes we all forget. Sometimes we want to be given the chance. It could be that whoever typed your CV made some mistakes. We all give instructions to our secretaries, type this for me, do that. I understand, as an administrator, a leader, there are some errors. So I'm giving you one more opportunity. Would you want to take chairman's leave to amend those records also? Because this is going into public records. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let me also state that, Mr. Chairman, the 20th June 2017 is the day after graduation when I was given the certificate. But the submission was in 2016. So most often you realize that the year, depending on how soon you submit your project work or thesis, you might not graduate in the same year. And so it is when I was given the certificate that is being referred to here.
Okay, honorable colleague, let's take it step by step. So when did you submit your thesis to UPSA? Which date did you submit your thesis to UPSA?
The submission date, unless I check, but I can assure you that...
I would take it that you would come back if you want to come back.
No, leader.
Well, leader,
okay.
With all due respect, let's abide by the rules. If a question is asked, kindly allow the witness to place the answer on record. Then you can follow up with another question where the witness is in the process, or the nominee is in the process of answering the question. Then you come in to say, no, honorable leader. With all due respect, I do not think that is the way we should go. So kindly allow the witness to place the answer on record so that the clerks will be able to pick the answer on the record. Then you can follow up. Thank you very much.
When did you submit your MPhil dissertation?
In 2016.
Your MPhil program at UPSA, when did it start and when did it end?
Mr. Chairman, I stated earlier that the MPhil program started somewhere 2013. And the completion, when I said completion, including graduation, was around 2017. If you check the records, I did not even graduate with my colleagues. So I stayed, I had a year delayed or some months or something delayed. But I submitted in 2016.
There's a difference between graduation and submission, which would conclude the program. When did you complete your MPhil program?
I completed in 2016.
Do you remember the month?
No, sir.
Now, honorable colleague, let's go to your PhD. What was your area of research?
I was at the Institute of African Studies, and I looked at the relationship between traditional and local authorities in the management of natural resources. And I had a case study of beaches in Accra.
Can you elaborate on the subject area?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was basically looking at the commoditization of beaches. And so we all know that aside the beauty or the recreational value of beaches or natural resources, there's the commercial aspect of it. So basically looking at the challenges in managing natural resources, whether it's traditional authorities or the conflicts that emanates from the management of natural resources, such as the beaches.
When you say natural resources such as the beaches, management of natural resources such as, so your research, what did you eventually uncover in terms of the natural resources that you're referring to? I just want you to situate it in a manner that the ordinary person would appreciate exactly what you did.
So it's a qualitative study that sought the perceptions of people in terms of how beaches are managed, and then also the commercial value of it, the challenges that comes out of it, and then the possible balance in terms of how the beaches can be managed to elicit the best out of it in terms of value to the nation. And then the people who are the custodians of it, how the various stakeholders and players in the field can collaborate.
Have you shared the outcome of your work with the tourism authority or the various assemblies to enable them sift out some best practices as a guide?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've not had opportunity yet. I clearly recollect that I was in Parliament when I had to prepare for my Viva. So that was quite a tense moment for me. And afterwards, it's been community engagement and parliamentary work. So I'm yet to sit and then properly look at it. But I have plans of working with my supervisor to ensure that some quality work is done so that the lessons and publications can go to the various. I'll look at the tourism minister, sit with her, look at some of the lessons and then how best she can inculcate them and we can learn from it.
When you say you say with your supervisor to ensure that some quality work is done, what exactly do you mean?
We have plans of doing some joint publications, and so I will lean on that.
Thank you. Please, let's go to page 2 of your CV. On page 2, you have primary school, Teshin Estate Preparatory School, 1981 to 1986. Then we have ordinary level certificate, Nungwa Secondary School, Accra, September 1988 to June 1993. I presume you did a common entrance?
No, sir.
Okay. So explain to us, from primary school, you have a gap of 2 years. So the 86, 87. So there's no school within that 2 years. Then you come to 1988 to 93, which is 5 years, Form 1 to Form 5. So can you explain to us what you did, what schooling you had between that period that your records do not reflect same, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Within that 2-year period, there was the new system, which is the JHS. And so having an uncle who is a teacher, he was also an advisor to my father. And so they looked at the benefits of joining the new system. What is missing is that I went to try the new system. And then my uncle moved on to a secondary school called Presby Secondary School. And my dad felt there was, I was too comfortable there. So I had to try first year of secondary school at Presby Commercial. And so I went to first year. I didn't write the common entrance. I went to secondary school first year at where we call Preseko. I did 2 terms there before going to Nungwa Secondary School.
So you went to Nungwa Secondary School without common entrance, in other words?
I went to Nungwa Secondary School with a certificate from Presby Secondary School.
What certificate?
I did my first year at Presby Secondary School.
First year of JHS or JSS, you mean?
First year of GC.
Oh, very well. So you mean you had a transfer?
Sir.
Okay. So that is what is missing. That is creating that 2-year gap.
Yes, sir.
Very well. But then if you had done a first year already and you did a transfer, that suggests that you go to Form 2. Or do you repeated year 1 again?
Yes, I did. I actually did 2 terms for the first year. I joined them in second year. And so when I got to Nungwa Secondary School, I had a...
Yeah.
Yes.
Very well. So you mean going to Preseko, you entered Preseko year 1 with a common entrance?
I entered Preseko from class 6. I entered Preseko.
They were doing the JSS, the new system, you mean?
Preseko was not doing the new system. Preseko was doing the old system.
That is the O level?
Yes.
So you entered Preseko without writing the common
When
entrance?
I was about going to JHS, because I tried the new system, if you remember, I narrated how I tried the new system. And then when my uncle moved on, so I moved with him. So I didn't write the common entrance or the JHS.
Very well. I'll leave that. You've also indicated you did MA, Human Resource Development,
Yes,
University
sir.
of Cape Coast, from September 2003 to March 2005.
Yes, sir.
Is there any part of it that you would want to take the leave of chairman to amend those records there before I proceed with some questions?
It was a sandwich program.
When did you graduate?
The MA was from 2000 and I graduated in 2005. In fact, it was a 1-year course, and so it was supposed to be 2004.
Honorable Member, so would you want to take the leave of Mr. Chair to amend your records, please?
Having stated it was 2004, leave is accordingly granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now, you indicated earlier that as General Secretary of NALAD, it was a full-time employment. If you come to page 3, where, excuse me, not page 3, sorry, you talked about your leadership, page 8. So let's reconcile page 3 and page 8. You also indicate there that you were page 9, rather, go back to page 9. Let's start with page 9. So let's reconcile page 3 and page 9. So second vice president and general secretary. The general secretary bit, you say full-time employment. That has come under your employment history. And then when you come to the second vice president, that is under membership/leadership. So what do you have to say to both?
The second vice bit is an elected position. And so I contested that before becoming the general secretary.
Okay. Is there anything you would want to amend?
Page 9?
Well, on both pages, I mean, look carefully. We'll skip that, and maybe later you can take chair's leave to check. I just don't want to.
Page 9?
Yeah, 9 and 3. Okay, so just check that, and we'll come back to it. Anyway, my colleague Ahmed Shaib Jerry had referred to President Trump's inaugural address, where he stated that the policy of the United States under his administration will change in a definition of gender, that a man will be a man, a woman, the very natural state. Do you share in this opinion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like I earlier said, it's in line with our Constitution, and so I share in that.
Very well. You were in Parliament between 2021 and 2025 January 6th. That is the 8th Parliament. You were, per
Yes,
your record.
sir.
That's a fact. Now, you are aware that some of our colleagues took the view that Ghana would have to legislate on these LGBT issues to make clear to the world our position on this matter.
Yes, sir.
And you're also aware that in view of that, the law was passed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Right. So let me pick your thoughts on this, because you are going into a ministry that is likely to take up this matter. His Excellency, the President of the Republic, has shared some views. One of it was to the effect that our value system in our schools has broken down. Our value system has broken down. And should we tackle our value system and reintroduce our value system in our schools, and the children are able to pick these up, perhaps there will be no need at all to even legislate on it. What is your view on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I had indicated to our colleague that for the legal aspect, where I think because you referred to that one, he went into asking whether it would be without the law. I said I leave that, or if the law had to, go through the process all over again. I left that to the legal brains. But as to teaching the children our family value system, I think there will be no Ghanaian here who wouldn't want that. All of us would want our kids to be identified with their Ghanaianness, if there's anything like that. So that if you teach, I said that was more sustainable, so that they identify who they are, and then they will take a decision when there's right or wrong. They will be able to know who they are, and that will define them.
So, are you for the value system being inculcated in our children, being incorporated in our curriculum, or you are for the law to enforce it?
I stick with what His Excellency said. I think he did not rule out the enactment of a law to back it. But I was saying that for sustainability, if it is imbibed in our children from a younger age, it will help.
Honorable, I know I'm staying a bit longer with you, but bear with me. The practice since 1997 has always been that members of the committee get 3 questions and have opportunity to get follow-up questions as it pleases the chair. The leader being the ranking by practice since 97 through to Honorable Che Mensah, Honorable Bagbin, Honorable Harun Edrusu, and now my time, is that leaders have unlimited, because we have a duty to ask broader questions and policy. So please don't be, I will end very soon, okay? I just want us to appreciate that. It's not that I'm saying too long with you, but it's the work I have to do. And I don't mean going personally or delaying you. I just need to understand some broader issues for your own good. Is that okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But leader, take into consideration she's a member of your committee. This very committee, she's a member.
Honorable, you were an assembly, you were a presiding member. Were you an elected presiding member, elected assembly member, or you were a government appointee?
I was a government appointee.
Your NDC manifesto. This women banking policy, what really is your understanding of it? What really is your understanding of women in banking?
Thank you very much. My understanding is not is not maybe, okay, let me rephrase it. My understanding of the women banking program is that women-owned banks, women beneficiaries of the same bank, which will be more flexible, introduced at the district level, and women will have more flexible terms, less interest or lower interest rates to be able to support their businesses. So economically bringing the women up. And for me, I think for women like me, it is a laudable idea.
So let me have clarity, because the ordinary Ghanaian woman will be interested in this matter. So let's bring clarity to it. When we talk of a bank, the understanding in the ordinary meaning of it, the literalists would understand it to mean that a bank, properly so called, with a license from the Bank of Ghana, own and being in operation. So I would now, with the benefit of this background, ask you very specifics, because you were definitely part of the manifesto committee that put
An
this together.
assumption.
Pardon?
An assumption.
Okay, so then let me put it direct. Were you part of the manifesto committee on gender?
No, please.
Were you at all involved in any gender issues relative to your manifesto?
Not really.
Have you read the gender policy of your party as contained in its manifesto? Have you?
Yes.
Have you read this aspect of this woman in banking?
Yes.
Very well. So now, since we are going to deal with Women's Bank, what is your understanding of what you read, the Women's Bank? What is your understanding?
It is capacitating women to be able to be economically independent and also build their businesses to reduce vulnerability from where I come from.
So it means that the state is going to be a promoter of...
Yes.
So the state would promote the registration of a company called Women's Bank, correct?
Mr. Chair, I had earlier stated that a part of it is also the Ministry of Finance work. And so some of the details will go into the ministry's work.
So the Ghanaian woman should expect that a bank will be established, licensed by the Bank of Ghana, with branches in all districts as you indicated.
Yes, a bank will be established.
Should they expect that bank to be established this year, next year, or when?
I think this will be clearer when the Minister of Finance comes to read the budget. I'm expecting that it will be captured.
Now, Honourable Member, let me ask you this. You are the Member of Parliament for Krowo. That is Teshi.
Wow.
Krowo is Nungwa, and then Lejokuku is...
Teshi.
Right. Do you live in Teshi or you live in Nungwa?
I live in Nungwa.
You live in Nungwa. Where you live in Nungwa, is it your personal property or is it rented property?
Personal property.
When you say personal property, do you mean you bought the land and built on it, or you bought the house, the property?
Bought the land and built on it.
The land you bought, did you buy it from the chiefs or a third-party developer?
I bought it from a chief.
Chairman, I shall bring my questions to an end on this point and thank my respected colleague for her patience and so far the commitment so far. I shall count on your experience thus far in managing the ministry. All other matters shall be pursued on the floor of the House. I wish you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ranking Member and the Minority Leader. Honorable members, let me recognize the presence of our revered chiefs, opinion leaders, and some elders here to give moral support to the nominee. First on my list is His Royal Majesty, King Professor Odaifio Wellenchi III, Paramount Chief of the Nungua Traditional Area and President of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. Ngenge Tetewaka III, Paramount Chief of the Pram Traditional Area. We have Becholo Ni Ashite Akamfram III, Teshi Manche, Ni Otukwe II, Nungua Adontin, a representative of the Numo Bobu Wulomo Shiche. We have Janet Momo Oakley. She's the mother of the nominee. We have Reverend Dr. Benjamin Kwame Danso, Chairman NDC Kroa Constituency. The clergy, Nungua. We also have Major Christine Oko and the spouse. We have Dr. Afisa Zakaria, Chief Director, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. We have members of the civil society organizations here. And we have Honorable Assembly members of Kroa. Is that correct? Kroa, very well. Municipal Assembly. Bear with me. I am unaware. Let me use the opportunity to thank the nominee for attending upon the committee and providing answers to questions posed. Surely you would hear from the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Grateful.